I published earlier today, September 13, 2025, a new blog post discussing my investment transactions over the past few days. The post can be found by clicking the SouthJet link here, which will take you to the page that has the link to my blog. I've been publishing blogs since October 2008. I discussed selling 12 corporate bonds in that post maturing in the 2034 to 2040 timeframe as I reduce my interest rate risk exposure after taking into account my age, financial condition, and current opinions about future inflation. I am anticipating in my future prediction about inflation in the United States a higher annual average rate than is currently reflected in the 5, 10, and 20-year tip break-even inflation rates. I discussed some immaterial purchases in 2 Bitcoin ETFs, and I also provide snapshots of my cash flow into my Fidelity account, one of 4 taxable accounts that I have, on September 15, 2025. When the cash is to be delivered on a Monday, which is the case for all of those items included in the snapshots, Fidelity will show the credits on the preceding Saturday, the only broker that I have who does that. For common stocks, I discuss in that post what is a very minor allocation change that involves reducing my exposure to BDC stocks and buying equity REIT stocks other than office REITs, which I'm still avoiding, with the proceeds. The reason has to do with how those 2 types of pass-through entities will respond to declining short-term interest rates. BDCs have a concentration in variable rate loans whose coupons are priced at spreads to short-term rates like the 1 and 3-month SOFR rate, SOFR, which has been trending down in yield in tandem with the 100 basis point cut in the federal funds rate that the Fed made last year starting in mid-September with a 50 basis point cut, and will go down further in yield with more Fed rate cuts. There is a 100% probability now assigned to at least a 25 basis point cut when the Fed meets on September 17th, and a current 84.5% probability of another 25 basis point cut at the October 29 Fed meeting. The coupons of variable rate loans will reset lower as the Fed cuts the rates again. BDC net investment income per share will continue to trend down as the variable rate loans reset and lower coupons, and that process has been underway since the Fed started to cut rates last year. In addition, many of the BDCs are having lower coupon senior unsecured debt mature or will soon mature that will have or has already been refinanced at higher coupons to their vintage SU bonds, particularly those that were issued during the period when the Treasury yields were suppressed by QE and ZIRP monetary policies. And many BDCs have had what is unacceptable to me increases in non-accrual loans as a percentage of total loans, and that has happened without a recession. Of course, when the loan goes on non-accrual, there's no interest income received by the BDC, and that's going to have a negative impact on their net investment income per share. BDCs lend money to mostly higher-risk private companies at higher rates, and non-accrual loans will likely increase in a recession, even for the better managed ones. As taking together all of the preceding factors, taken together will cause net investment income per share for BDCs to decline. It even declined for many of them below the dividend rates that they now have, leading to possible dividend cuts. So that is the reason why I'm paring my position in BDCs. Equity REITs own real estate, and financing costs are tied primarily to short-term rates through bank credit facilities, possibly some variable rate mortgages that they may have, and fixed rate senior bonds and mortgages concentrated primarily in the 3 to 7 year time frame for the new issuances. So their interest costs will be coming down for those with investment grade ratings, and the amount and the frequency will depend on a number of factors, including the runoffs and the hedging transactions that will occur over time. But generally, I would expect their funds available for distribution to rise and as interest rates decline, and that will increase their support for their existing dividends, possible increases in their dividend payments, and their price to FFO multiples. And anywhere over 50% of the leases will have rent escalation clauses. The triple net lease REITs will generally have lower rent escalation clauses than other REITs, since their tenants are responsible for the maintenance cost, insurance on the property, and the property taxes, and all of those kind of items would be going up in cost to the tenant, but not to the owner of the property. The dividend yields for equity REITs, while generally lower than the BDCs, become more attractive to me, at least, as short-term yields decline. And I'm talking about the kind of rates that I'm now receiving on Treasury bill purchases at auction. While with certain exceptions, the equity REIT dividend is, in my opinion, safer and less subject to being cut compared to dividends paid by many of the BDCs, and more cuts can be expected, again, in my opinion, as net investment income per share for the BDCs continues to trend down. Some equity REIT sectors have been poorer performers over the past few years, particularly office REITs for about 5 years now or so, hotel REITs, particularly during the pandemic and the near depression period in 2008, and nursing home REITs primarily from the pandemic. Retail REITs have, on occasion, suffered negative impacts from time to time by tenant bankruptcies. I discussed one of those in the blog today, Kite Realty Company, KRG, that has suffered a few tenant bankruptcies that they're backfilling now with new tenants. I have a section in the Post where I discuss Donald's claim that he did not sign the birthday card, and that claim is being made after the birthday card was produced with his signature, and notwithstanding a large number of exemplars where he signed the name, his first name, Donald, at around the same time period. A jury can compare signatures without the input of an expert. That is true in almost every jurisdiction, and not all jurisdictions. They don't have to have expert testimony to find that a signature is compared to another authentic signature is the same. It is clear to me that he signed the birthday card, and I would not need any guidance from a handwriting expert to reach that conclusion. Trump will still claim that, notwithstanding the comparison signatures that are authentic, that he did not sign the birthday card, which tells you what you already should know about his honesty. And everyone by now is presumed to know about his honesty, even if they continue to claim that he is honest. It also shows Trump's contempt for people that he can make demonstrably false statements numbering in the tens of thousands, and he knows that he will still be believed by tens of billions of people in the United States. In the last poll that I saw, 80% of the Republicans viewed Trump as honest, and almost as many viewed him as a role model for their children. On another matter, I discussed documents unearthed by a news organization in the Post that proves that Lisa Cook is innocent of mortgage fraud claims made by Bill Pulte, Trump, and the DOJ lawyers that are trying to get her fired in the district court filings. The mortgage document clearly states that her Atlanta home must be used as a primary residence, quote, unless lender otherwise agrees in writing, end quote. In the loan document prepared by the lender for that property, which is not referenced, of course, in Bill Pulte's criminal referral to the Justice Department, the following statement appears, quote, property use, vacation home, end of quote. Also mentioned that it would be negligent, in my opinion, for the lawyers who are representing her not to acquire all the mortgage documents and review them before filing any document in court. That is just basic, very basic lawyering. I did not see any mention of this information in the TRO petition filed by her lawyers with the district court. I do wonder whether Bill Pulte knew about that information before making a criminal referral, and whether the DOJ lawyers who are filing court papers claiming that she committed mortgage fraud were or were not aware of those documents when making representations to the court that she had committed mortgage fraud.